All right, now comes the hard video. Earlier tonight, I was on the Typical Skeptic Podcast with my friend Robert, and I was on there and I was talking about the joy of Satan, which is a soul trap. It's a virtual temple complex. And I've been wanting to do this for a while. So I got up today, and prior to that, I had a game plan of what I wanted to do. And I knew that I was going to get a lot of resistance, and I definitely did. So when I got up, I realized that I wasn't feeling good immediately. I wasn't feeling right. I had a speech issue that kicked in. This is another form of an attachment. And I felt off. I was having brain fog. And it had nothing to do with lack of sleep or any of those things. It was all attachments. Then when I tried to remove the attachments, the first thing that I noticed was I was blocked. Normally, I can remove attachments fine, even if they're the blocks. In this case, I wasn't able to do it, but I do have an ace up my sleeve, and it's called my higher self. So my higher self got the blocks off, and then I had to get rid of the attachments. So that was something that was pretty difficult to do, because when I tried to do it, I was able to do it, but at the same time, there was a residual effect. So then fast forward a little bit, I get an email from Robert. So he's having tech support issues. Actually, this was a little bit before that. He was having tech support issues. We were supposed to go live tonight, and I wasn't sure, or he wasn't sure if he was going to get the problem resolved. The interesting thing is last week when I went on Josh Myota's show, Lost to the Rabbit Hole, he had tech support issues too. He couldn't get it to record. Robert couldn't get it to live stream. So he got through the tech support problem. And this has been happening a lot. This is 2 in a row now. I find it suspect. Okay, I know, intuitively, I know they're interfering with this. So anyway, we get past that. Everything's cool. We start the podcast, and now it's live. I wasn't really prepared for it, but it was a live show. So we started to talk, and I could tell that I was definitely not functioning in the proper way. Now, the show was about the joy of Satan, and I needed to get this information out because people are getting hurt by this soul trap. So, it's just, Robert's been under a lot of stress, and he's worried about losing his channel because he just lost his job and stuff, and he's got to find work again, and he's been under a lot of heavy psychic attack, just like I have. We talked about that in the first part of the podcast. Where things kind of went off the rails is that, I got into the subject of Enki, which is that's the main deity of the joy of Satan. It's about Satan, but that's psychological camouflage. Once you peel this onion back, you'll find that it's strictly an Enki cult with satanic themes. And the rest of the demons, which are actually pagan gods, they're called demons because, I can get into that, but I'm not. I'm going to get into that in a series of videos because I'm going to get right back into the joy of Satan ASAP. I'm going to finish that series, and we're going to move on to other stuff. So that's good news for those of you who are curious about it. So anyway, I got it, and I started talking about a lot of the stuff. The problem is I couldn't get off the subject of the New Age movement because that's also a soul trap. And I brought up one of the things about Elena Denon, and she's been telling everybody lately, she's been channeling and having otherworldly experiences with Enki and other extraterrestrials, the Anunnaki. They're supposed to be coming back to save humanity. And she's telling everybody this. There's artwork of her looking like an extraterrestrial, or almost like Enki's bride, it looks like. And I've got people in my Telegram group are asking me, hey, what's going on with this? And it's concerning a lot of people, and it's turning a lot of people away, and it's dividing people. And people are wanting, because it sounds a bit off. It doesn't sound right, and their psychic discernment is working well because of that. So I got into the subject, and we talked about it, and then I couldn't see the chat. But I did see an occasional chat message pop up. But from my end, I couldn't see the actual chat for some reason. And so anyway, what happened is apparently the chat became very divided. I think there was close to 50 people. I think I heard Robert say that. So I guess it was 20 to 30 people versus the other 20 or 30 people. And some of the people didn't like what I was saying because I had questioned Elena Danaan. I had put her information into question. And I'm sorry, those people are going to be upset no matter what because, here you've got Enki and a satanic cult, or what's supposed to be a satanic, or what looks like one. And people are getting hurt. You have this inversion of the New Age movement being run here with these Anunnaki, which are actually Dracos. And then you have her communicating with an Enki that's telling everybody, just like the Joy of Satan Enki says, I'm here to genetically engineer you and save humanity. I'm here to run off the negative extraterrestrials. In a Joy of Satan, what you have is you have Enki portraying himself as a pagan god, and he's supposed to be on the good side with the Orion faction. And the Orion faction is the enemies of the Galactic Federation of Light, or worlds, and that's the inversion of the entire theology. That's the Joy of Satan. It's the inversion of the New Age movement story, which is most New Age, it seems now, centers around this Enki story, this Anunnaki story. It seems like this is the emerging religion for the starseeds. And it's a false religion. It's just another deception. And I pointed that out, and it upset people. And I couldn't help but to say this. And, this is the problem here, people. I don't fault Elena Danaan for doing what she's doing. I think she thinks that she's trying to help the world and she's doing something positive. The same thing with Alex Collier. The same thing when I went out and started talking about New Age stuff under the Draco influence. I thought I was doing something to help people. In reality, all I was doing is getting myself in a lot of trouble and being used by a bunch of negative, evil extraterrestrials who had me in a program where my soul was trapped. It had nothing to do about the Joy of Satan. I was hijacked 2 lifetimes, for 2 straight consecutive lifetimes. And you see my interviews, you'll know about that. So anyway, what I want to say is about the whole Elena Danaan thing, and this is what bothers me the most, is that she tells people that that the extraterrestrials, the negative ones, the Greys, the Orion ETs, the Dracos, have all been run out of the solar system. They're not in control anymore. The GF, the Galactic Federation of Worlds, is now in control of this Earth. They're in control of the government. They're in control of everything, according to her. And all the bad guys are out of here. So now we're going to get med beds. I keep hearing that as a recurring theme. We're going to get help. We're going to get technology. Everything's going to be great. But things are a bit disturbing because I also hear her say that we're going to have digital telepathy with Neuralink and Skylink. This is something I've been warning about for a long time. Okay, it is not in the plan for humanity to be plugged into the internet with their brain, or plugged in through the internet through Skylink and have a brain chip implant that the government will use to monitor your thoughts. This is the kill switch. This is how you kill humanity. This is the funeral wreath that gets laid across, the grave of the human race. AI is the absolute death of humanity. It is the most powerful weapon that can be wielded by the elites against the human people, against the human population. And we do not want that. And Elon Musk has done some good things, and he's doing some bad things. And the thing is that he's being pulled in 2 different directions, just like a lot of these politicians are and world leaders. They're being pulled in 2 different directions. And so nobody is necessarily all good or bad, but there are some that are completely bad. But for the most part, a person like Elon, you can tell. You can use your intuition. He's not necessarily negative or positive. He has the ability to do a lot of good. He appears to be a good person, but at the same time, he's misguided and he's being manipulated. He thinks the only way to control AI is to merge with it. Absolutely not. That gives the tyrants complete control. That's the last thing that we need, is when the federal government or whatever government of your country decides, hey, we're going to look into your thoughts and police them. There's no more freedom. There's no more dignity. There's no reason to live. This world will be a hellscape. She's pushing that. And that should be a red flag for everybody. It should be common sense. She's being deceived. Okay? Second, she says the Greys and all the nasty reptilians and all the negative ETs from Orion are kicked out. Well, I've got news for her, and I've got news for those of you who think that that's true. I get attacked every day by these beings. I know people that they're on their deathbed right now because of this. They're not getting attacked now. The one person, my friend Sherry, is not getting attacked by directed energy. She's being attacked by Draco Orion ETs and has been tortured just like I have as a military MILAB victim since she was a child. And who knows how many lifetimes they've had her hijacked. I don't know. It's at least one minimum, and probably more. Her lungs are one of her lungs is I think completely collapsed. She can barely breathe. She's got all sorts of problems. She's got infection. She's got immune system issues. Her heart's not pumping properly. They're slowly killing her, and they've been torturing her entire life. She had to experience being pulled from her body and astrally raped, or psychically raped, in the astral mind space. One time they actually raped her, and they showed what they shape-shifted into me, and she thought that I did it. And I'm like, Sherry, I can't even leave my body. I have no control over myself. I would never do that to begin with. It took her a few weeks, but she came around and realized that it was them. Her son has been inappropriately touched and has been physically injured in these experiences and has likely been abducted. And then some of those physical injuries may have been from physical abductions, because abductions run in families, because oftentimes they'll put us together in families if they've hijacked us. Sometimes the positive side will put us in families together. Sometimes it's an accident that we wind up in a family as a MILAB and have a starseed grandparent or parent or someone, an aunt or an uncle or brother or sister, that takes us under their wing and helps us. That happened to me with my grandmother. Without her, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. I wouldn't have made it through the torture and pain. I have her to thank for saving my life. And she was an Arcturian. So, and just a beautiful soul. I've got friends in Australia. 2 friends, actually 3, 4 technically. I'm sorry. Diane and her son. Those are the 2 I'm not concerned with right now. It's the other 2. I met a really good friend of mine, Project Avalon. I've been friends for about a year. He's been extremely helpful to me. He's done immense things. I mean, I can't describe how much of a thank you that I'd like to give him. Words can't describe it. He came into my life and helped me break the programming and get out of this. He didn't charge me anything. He didn't want any money. He doesn't believe in that. And he's just like me in that respect. And he and I have a past together in another lifetime. We've done something here on Earth together for positive social engineering purposes. So he came into my life to help me, and I'm very thankful for that. His girlfriend has been made so sick that she can barely breathe and she can't speak. She says she has a lot of trouble speaking because her lungs are so infected, because her immune system has been compromised. They get attacked with directed energy. They got the corded attachments like I have, where they make them sick. And on top of it, they get constant attachments that make them sick. It's being done to them. And my friend is the same way. He's got a lot of ailments and things that they've damaged his body. They destroyed his endocrine system. They shut down his testicles, just like they did with me. They made him sick, and he's had I think he told me he had 3 near-death experiences from these attacks. And they've tried to kill his girlfriend repeatedly. He's got a mentor also from Project Avalon, and they've done substantial damage to her. These people don't want to come forward because when they do, they get more attacks, and they can't defend themselves from some of them. You get the attachments, they come too quickly. It's just too much. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. So you have that problem. Then you have the directed energy attacks, which are extremely difficult to deal with. They can be fatal. That's the U.S. military. That's the U.S. government. In fact, that's the Australian government too, because multiple governments are in collusion with negative extraterrestrials to use transdimensional technology and other advanced technologies to attack the people that they abduct, because we pose a threat to national security. Really international security. We pose a threat to the world government that's emerging, that is hell-bent on depopulation and human extermination. That's it. And they want us dead, but they also want us contained in these programs, and they'll keep us alive and keep us in misery. So none of that is ended. They keep getting attacked. I keep getting attacked. Robert has been attacked. He's confided in me in the last couple of weeks about being attacked. Josh Myota got attacked when he did the last podcast with me. He mentioned it and talked about it in the live chat. You can see at the end of the video, about the second half, he starts to fall asleep, it looks like. He's edited some of it out, I think, but because I haven't watched it closely to check, but he pointed out that when the video aired, that he was trying to shake it off, because I could see him shaking his head and his eyes kept closing. Then his mind blanked out and he had difficulty formulating questions. That's just one example. And then a few months ago, on October 1st, I was on a Typical Skeptic podcast. Robert got attacked in the second hour of that podcast. So somebody's doing the attacks, and it's the negative ETs are doing the attacks. They have not been kicked out of this solar system. They're still right here in the joint underground military bases, and they also have their own bases that are just for them. They're still here. They're still hanging around the moon. They're still on Mars, and they're still off planet. And they're still all over the place. Nothing has changed. Our political system has only gotten worse and more weaponized. When you see things change on the surface, and you see sweeping political change begin to take place, that's when you know that things have changed behind the scenes. That's when you know when these ETs are gone, because they're the ones they're the primary driver of all of this. They're the root cause of our problems. Humanity hasn't even been able to come together unmolested, unmanipulated, and create any form of human organizational structure to self-govern. And because what you have is a cyclic tyranny, a rise of civilization and a collapse of civilization. We never get anywhere because of them. The last thing we need is Enki coming back to save the day when he's been the culprit the entire time. All of these ETs have. So I just want to leave you guys with that. I'm sorry for who this offends, but I have to tell the truth. I have to tell you what's going on. If I was a liar, I wouldn't choose this type of thing. I wouldn't choose to say things like this. I would choose to say, oh, hi, I'm a starseed. How are you? All love and light and everything else. And let me channel some Enki. And let me channel some other extraterrestrials. I even see people channeling Max Spears and taking it seriously. They don't know who they're talking to. They have no idea who they're talking to. And I see that just all over the place with the New Age movement. I see it with Super Soldier movement. That whole truth and disclosure movement. It's inundated with these channelers. It's inundated with the New Age movement. It is a way to get us off of it's a way to guide us away from the awakening and into a dead end. And it's an engineered dead end that they're trying to lead us to. And, I have to speak up. So, and I really hope that all of the people that are being deceived by these ETs wake up, break the programming, and distance themselves and do whatever they can to speak up about it and expose what they've been put through. Because it is unfair to them, and it is unfair to the people that follow them that we are all deceived. And through that deception, we are gravely harmed. I just want to leave you with that thought, and I want to leave you with a positive thought. I just want to say that the light always appears after the darkness has had its way with the world. And that's what we're going through right now. This is probably, I would say this is the darkest period for sure of the entire human history. Despite the cataclysms and so forth that mankind has had to go through, this is worse because this is an effort to exterminate it. And we have to win. We have to defeat this. And we will. And I'll see you soon. Take care.